Last week, the Omarion Hampton show had a soft launch, but it's headed to Broadway this week, and I think he's in for a big game in the Big Apple.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Droegemeier, and we've been covering the Chargers now for 10 seasons, but this is our 8th year as the host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day. Thank you to the everydayers out there for making us your first listen. To make sure that you never miss the show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. David, what do we got today?
Daniel, the script has been written for Omarion Hampton, and through the first 3 games, the Giants have given up the second most rushing yards per game in the NFL. So we're looking for the rookie to go out there and have a show. On defense, it is absolutely going to be imperative that they confuse, frustrate, and absolutely harass Jacxson Dart and make his introduction to the NFL a very uncomfortable one. And also, always, we are going to close things out with our bold and game predictions.
Yeah, and we're going to get pretty bold, including if this could be finally the breakout game for Ladd McConkey. But he's not the offensive player that we're starting with today, because we're going to be talking about Omarion Hampton, who, even if the box score doesn't say it last week as far as yards per carry and things of that nature, easily had his best game last week, accounted for 129 yards of total offense, and just really, I think, gave us a glimpse of that first round talent. I mean, I think you saw it on display, especially with the receiving ability, especially the way that he was finishing runs and kind of just gashing them last week later in that game, especially in the second half, for 7 yards here, 8 yards there, carrying people through contact. And I do think, David, that going up against this defensive front that has struggled against the run, surprisingly, because of how much talent they have over there, this is another game where it's okay. Last week was a good starting off point. This week he has a prime matchup that he could potentially expose.
Yeah, he surely does. As I mentioned in the open, they have given up a lot of rushing yards. I mean, second most in the league per game. Through the first 3 games, the Commanders torched them 32 times for 220 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Dallas went for $135, and the Chiefs just went over 100 at 105. So every single team they have played against has gone over 100 yards on them. And they also, looking at their injury report, have a couple of defensive linemen that are looking like they're trending towards not playing in this game. So they're going to be beaten up, battered, and they're going to have some backups probably in there having to fill into that rotation. So this is a big-time matchup for Omarion Hampton to establish the run, to be able to control the line of scrimmage, to be able to continue to keep the football and punch this thing in for touchdowns. Making sure that you give him 25 plus carries in this game, I think, is going to be a roadmap to success for the Chargers offense.
Yeah, and just because you're saying run, it doesn't mean, you have to run on the first down of the first play of the game, right? But it's just, you look at, hey, this seems like it kind of would be a blip for this defense. And I mean, no matter really what metric that you use, it just hasn't been a good run defense so far. I mean, not only 31st in yards allowed, but 29th in yards per carry allowed, 30th in run defense EPA, 31st in run defense success rate, and Omarion Hampton's style, I mean, I think will work well against a team that ranks 26th in yards after contact allowed per attempt. You run hard,
Definitely.
You're going to be able to break some, tackles, and I think a big part of this is, a great way to mitigate the pass rush that's going to be going up against what could be a pretty banged up offensive line for the Chargers going into this one, really, no matter who plays. But I think it's also about keep using him in the quick game as well if you need to. That was something they figured out late in that second half to mitigate the pass rush as well. That would lead to my second key, though, which I think the first key really lends itself to, which is don't get Justin Herbert killed. Like, if you don't let Justin Herbert, have the pressure rate, keep peeling himself off the ground like you had last week, there's a good chance you can blow this Giants team out. I'm not necessarily confident that it's going to be the case. It's going to be somewhere in the middle, right? But this was a pass protection that was much better over the first 2 games than it was last game. And now you're going up against, one of the more fearsome foursomes you're going to find in the NFL. Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau. That's pretty ridiculous. And that's a lot of depth, especially in that edge group. Going up against a banged up Trey Pipkins who's been limited at practice all week, who just came off of giving up 9 pressures in the last game. But Stephen Haglund actually posted a tweet that was pretty interesting as far as that unit and their success rate so far. 27th in pressure percentage, which is not good. 24th in EPA per dropback. 24th in rushing EPA. Yards per play, 23rd. 24th in points per game. They're 10th in sacks, which, is whatever. It feels like it would be better than that, but looking at a game like this, a trap game like you talked about yesterday, potentially, it's like, what is the recipe for the Chargers to lose? And literally one of the only ones I can think of is that this offensive line for the Chargers just gets mauled and it totally mucks things up for the offense.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of coincides with my key as well, that it's just have a better protection plan going into this game. We can't have Scott Matlock be the primary blocker against any pass rushers of the New York Giants. Please and thank you. That's first and foremost. Let's make sure we use those running backs to chip, and also we keep a tight end in on Trey Pipkins' side to protect when you have those longer developing plays where you need an extra second to be able to set something up, to be able to hit something down the field, and also just identify where Burns is at all times. I mean, you got to know where he is at, make sure the communication is on point between Bradley Bozeman and Justin Herbert and the rest of the people on the offensive line so they know how to make sure to orient properly to give the best protection. You have to have a better protection plan against this New York Giants front because they are one of the more talented fronts you are going to play against on this schedule this season.
And I guarantee you this, even if it's been an underwhelming group, if they were to go on their calendar and circle a get-right game for themselves, what team do you think they'd be looking at and saying, hey, this is an offensive line where we can get right? I mean, I know who I would have circled, right? Especially a banged up one with Mekhi Becton almost certainly out of this game after not practicing, being in the concussion protocol. That's usually something you miss at least the next game for, so I'm not expecting him to be back. Bradley Bozeman obviously has had his struggles as well, but he was able to at least limited practice on Thursday, which is something. Trey Pipkins has been limited all week with an ankle, that he obviously couldn't play efficiently through last week, to say the least, giving him 9 pressures. So, you know what else could help with that, though, David? Getting the screen game going, right? I mean, if you're talking about someone that, or something that can help you against a good pass rush or a talented pass rush, that is something you could use. And the Chargers just have refused to do it. I'm surprised we didn't see it more last week, especially against that specific pass rush they were going up against. But 126 dropbacks for Justin Herbert. Only one of them has been a screen pass. Compare that to Trevor Lawrence, who has 22 screen passes thrown through 3 games. Bo Nix has 18. Justin Herbert has 1, right? They're not playing on easy mode with him, but when you're overmatched the way that they are, man, it just feels like even if you throw one and it doesn't work, at least you give them something else to think about, right? It reminds me of fighting, obviously I covered UFC for a little bit, but it's even if you're not trying to wrestle, feint a takedown, right? Yeah. Pretend to do a takedown at least, and now they're looking for it and they're having to defend themselves from it. No one is worried about your screen game, and you probably have the most believable offensive line to be actually letting up on those blocks. You know what I'm saying? Getting past that offensive line should feel decently believable. I'm not trying to throw shade, but I'm just saying it could be a weapon for you, especially Joe Wall, a massive weapon in space. Zion Johnson, a little undersized, really good athlete. Just feels like this is kind of untapped potential. We just have not seen them use it all.
Yeah, screen game for sure. Get your athletes out in space, even if you're using the wide receivers, right? Quentin Johnston, use him in the bubble screen situation. Get him out in space with blockers in front. Let him work the open field and do what he does with the ball in his hands. And, I think my last one is just feed the big 3. I mean, make sure that you can continue to get the football to Keenan, get it to Ladd, get it to Quentin Johnston. These guys have been performing at a high level all season. All these guys have at least 40 or more receiving yards in every single one of the 3 games that they have played this season. And Quentin Johnston's much higher than that. So I think, big shout out. Make sure that you set it up. Make sure you get these guys the ball. That's what your offense is running through, or it has ran through for the most part. So yes, I want you to run the ball, but don't neglect your pass catchers out there. They're making plays.
Of course, the thing is, it has to be a balance, and you just have to know when to push the buttons. Like I said, running the ball doesn't mean you start in the first quarter running the ball. It could mean you go heavy play action. It could mean you go play action to a screen pass. It could be, you know what I'm saying? There's so many ways to do it. And then later in the game, obviously, when they're a little worn down, like you saw last week, they got so tired of chasing Justin Herbert around that Omarion Hampton was gashing them late in that game and really getting that running game going. It looked the best we've ever seen it in that second half last week. But don't forget about Rondé Gadsden. Maybe it's a big 4 right there. But we do have more to get into, including our keys for success on defense, which is making the Giants regret choosing this week of all weeks to start your rookie quarterback. We're getting into all that and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast. This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. These are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives, and everyone knows those spots. The spots where you go in, they know your name, they know your order. You look through the menu, but even though you know you're going to get the same thing that you always get when you go in there because they just make it better than anyone else does. Those are the kind of businesses that run on Square. These local spots are what make neighborhoods feel like home, and so many of them run on Square. In San Diego, you go to Baked Bar or the Blind Lady Ale House. In Los Angeles, you go to the Los Angeles Ale Works, all running on Square. Square is a proud partner of over 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more, but before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. It's almost the weekend, and it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For the Chargers, it was Justin Herbert that delivered in a big way last week when it mattered most on those last 2 drives, leading the game-tying and game-winning drives against the Broncos. He also delivered one of the best throws that I've ever seen to Keenan Allen while shaking off Denver defenders. And if you've been watching week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke. Justin Herbert is on a streak. And just like Justin Herbert delivered for the Chargers, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Term supply, promo period through 11/18. David, let's get to the defensive side of things here. And one of the things we talked about last week was making Bo Nix bad, right? We knew that there was a bad Bo Nix in there, and the Chargers did find it, right? I mean, he was rattled. Obviously, he missed a couple of big-time throws down the field, I think at least in part, because of the frustration that Jesse Minter's defense brought last week. And I knew Jacxson Dart was going to start at some point this season. But what I was super confident about is that it would not be against the Chargers. I just didn't think there was any way. I thought it would just be like a bold thing to do because this is someone that not only, got Bryce Young benched in that game last year, right? Jameis Winston, other guys, 3 picks in that game. Yeah. Like, they just made people look bad, but especially rookies. Rookies were 0-4 against the Chargers last year. Obviously, Bo Nix 0-2, but also Drake May, 12 of 22, 117 yards, 2 of 10 on third downs in that game. The Chargers won 40-7. Spencer Rattler, another rookie, step up to the plate. 12 of 24, 156 yards, a 25 QBR, and also they lost 26-8 in that game.
Ugh.
Chris Rim, interestingly enough, on Twitter put out a post of him on ESPN saying, the Chargers defense feels a little bit disrespected by this move. You're going to start him against us? You think we're the soft launching pad for this man to make his NFL debut? That is a bold move, David, especially, with 2 guys last week, John Michael Schmitz, John Runyon allowing 9 pressures between the 2 of them.
Yeah.
Andrew Thomas couldn't play the whole game because he has a foot injury. He's still banged up and limited all week. Man, I don't know. This is a bold move by the Giants. I hope the Chargers defense can make them regret it.
Yeah, a bold move. Some may even say a stupid move. I mean, the Chargers have a top 10 defense in this league against the pass and against the run. They are truly a menace. And yes, I watched that same clip, and it was very apparent to me that they found it disrespectful that they were going to start this rookie against this defense, and they took it personally, and they are going to make a statement. How do they do that?
Yeah. Oh, Patricia Traynor. I mean, yesterday, think about what she said, right? Like, his own teammates aren't even sure. Like, I think that tells you a lot when your 100%. Own teammates don't necessarily think, especially veterans who are trying to win, right? Like, if they don't think you're making the right call by putting this dude out there and they think you're not giving them the best chance to win, like, that to me seems like a big advantage.
Oh yeah, I mean it just smells like desperation. It reeks of desperation. But how do you make things difficult on him? Well, you change the sight picture. You make him have to process things post snap. You bring those simulated pressures where you are going to make the look like you are going to come after the quarterback. You're going to stack the box, put 6, 7 guys up there, and then drop a couple guys back in coverage and force Jacxson Dart to have to figure out what is happening, which rushers are coming, which ones are dropping back in coverage, and he's going to have to do that in 2 to 3 seconds. Stunts, twists, make those defensive linemen move around and have those offensive linemen have to pick up and figure out where they're going to be. Make this rookie make as many decisions in as little amount of time as possible. And I don't think he's going to have a very fun time against the diabolical, evil genius that is Jesse Minter.
One thing about Jesse Minter is like even this year, there's no one that has like super dominant rushing stats as far. I mean, Tuli's been awesome the last couple of weeks. His sack production doesn't show up, but he's been a menace. The one thing I think is so much different with this team, the interior defensive line, they don't quit. Like, not that I think they were quitting before.
Man. They're so good.
But they just push the pocket. They at least move you off your spot. They make
Jamari
that
Caldwell
angle a little bit better as far as trying to turn that corner and get to the quarterback because there's less room to step up. So even though the sack numbers haven't been crazy, there's noticeably more pocket push. And that is something that can make not a huge quarterback by any means a little antsy, right? Make him move, make him trying to run. That'll be another thing too, is like, don't give him easy rushing lanes. Don't give him easy first downs to be able to bail himself out when he can't read the coverage, right? But it goes also with my point, which is just to that point, don't make it easy on him, right? Like don't just give him the easy throws. They've said already this week, they're going to be running some college concepts. They're probably going to have the training wheels on for him in this game. You have to be able to take out some of those schemed up looks, some of those easy, quick passing concepts. And the other thing is rally to the football, right? Like if they're going to be throwing these short passes, they're going to be playing this quick game. You got to be able to rally to it and limit the yards after the catch, which has been a little bit of a bugaboo for the Chargers this year so far. And also Cam Scatterboo, right? Like this is a dude who is a load. Like Tyrone Tracy out of practice all week. Now you get the absolute bowling ball, almost certainly getting a majority of the carries this week. You have to get a lot of hats on the football there. You can get to him. He's not an explosive athlete as far as like he's tough. He runs hard, but if you can get to him and, bring numbers to it, you can stop him. But at the same time, like the Chargers have quietly been allowing 5 yards per attempt this year on the ground. They've just also been up 10 points on every team and they haven't really been able to exploit it on them. But where else would you go for your defensive keys?
Yeah, also just with Cam Scatterboo, when I was watching him play, this is not a guy that you want to try to hit stick. You need to wrap up. He bounced off several other tackles, and he averages 3.48 yards after contact per attempt. So he's definitely a guy that you have to wrap up. Make sure you get him on the ground. The Chargers do a good job of rallying and tackle. They swarm to the ball. That just needs to continue. I think for me, double Malik Neighbors. Take him out of the game. Do not allow him to be the conduit of the offense, because when you look at the Giants' highest scoring output of the year against the Dallas Cowboys, who was a big part of it? Malik Neighbors. 9 catches, 167 yards, and 2 touchdowns. You let that guy go off like that in this game, this is going to be a lot closer and a lot more uncomfortable than you want it to be.
Absolutely. I mean, he is the best receiver they have played so far this year, and it's not close. Banged up a little bit, right, but should play, I'm guessing, at this point with the practice reports that we have this week. But yeah, I think that goes with my last thing here too, which is just like, you have to fix the blown coverages. Like it just, your 2 hardest opponents you played this year, you've had kind of mind-numbing mistakes that have cost you in big plays, especially in big moments. I mean, if you look back to that game you're talking about, it wasn't just the 2 big Malik Neighbors catches, right? They had passing plays of 52, 32, 48, 25, 29, like they were ripping off chunks left and right. Now, that was with Russell Wilson, the kind of moon ball expert, a guy that has an exceptional deep ball. It's going to be a little bit different with Jacxson Dart, and we'll see how kind of aggressive they let him be. But you're talking about 4th down versus the Broncos. You get up a 50-yard touchdown to Cortland Sutton. Guys being too aggressive, right? Alohi Gilman on that play falls for not even really a great fake, to be honest. Like, and you already have, Cortland Sutton running away with it. And it's not just that. Like, You also have the 4th and 7 play against the Chiefs, right? A 49-yard Hollywood Brown pass, and he's wide open. Travis Kelce, same game, busted coverage, leads to a 37-yard touchdown. And we're talking about the 150-yard touchdown to Sutton last week. That's not including the several deep balls that Bo Nix just missed, right? So if they want to chuck it up like that, Tony Jefferson has shown you how to do it. Somebody has to be down there to make them pay for it and make them think twice about trying to test the deep part of the field, because if I'm other teams right now, I can tell you I have zero respect for you to be able to cover those routes down the field and not to be able to draw up these big plays.
Hopefully Elijah Molden is back, and I feel a lot more comfortable with him on the back end, hopefully being a little bit more technically sound and not letting guys get behind him.
Sure, which, he was a culprit of it in the first game too. I think he was probably the defender who was supposed to be covering Hollywood Brown on that play where he ended up ripping off 50 yards, right? So that, it's happened to all of them, but just as a team, you got to get better at it. Make them earn it methodically. Jesse Minter's defense is great at that, except for when they haven't been. It's just several lapses that stop this team from being, one of the best defenses in the NFL so far to a truly smothering defense that has just been easily the best in the league. You take out those 3 or 4 plays I'm talking about right now, you probably are that. So that's kind of what stands, next to that. And I think the other thing is you want to put a team away. That's how you do it. But we still have our bold predictions to get into, including why this could be the game that Ladd McConkey turns it on and shows why he's actually this team's wide receiver one. We're getting into all that and more on today's Locked On Chargers podcast. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes saw all of the details that Mazda brings the same intention to how they craft every model. One of the biggest differences for the Chargers this year in their undefeated start is that they have shown an incredible attention to detail and an incredible resilience, especially coming back in that last game. But in the big moments, they are able to lean on the foundation that they've already built. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery in your Mazda, and you can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every moment count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. David, it's time to get into the bold predictions from these everydayers, and it's one of my favorite things we do now, and it gives us a chance to talk about some individual players that maybe we haven't got to so far, including Ladd McConkey, who I think could be in for a big one too. But thank you to all the everydayers. I mean, we've had an incredible month so far. I mean, you guys rocked with us the entire offseason and have even come out even stronger to start this season. Easily our best September that we've ever had. So thank you to the everydayers out there. Thank you for making us your first listen. If you need a second listen, I got 2 shows a day from Locked On NFL for you. Tyler the Madman Rowland giving you a double shot of NFL Espresso, and my guy Tony Wiggins in the barbershop on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast from. Dave, let's start with the bold predictions, including one that many people have bold predicted for this week, Ladd McConkey. This is here from Sayal. Ladd goes for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. We also had the Federation. McConkey over 100 yards and 1 touchdown. David, could this be the week we see Ladd McConkey kind of get back on the pedestal of where he was last year as the Chargers' best receiver?
Yeah, I think he absolutely can. I think this is a game where if the Chargers set this thing up right and they set up the shots, there's really nobody out there that I'm super concerned with being able to be able to hang with Ladd on a route in, route out basis. I think, it's only just a matter of time. This is a ticking time bomb, in my opinion. Once he explodes, it's going to be like he's never going to look back. And I think this is going to be the proper launching point for him to go back to reclaiming that wide receiver one moniker that we all know that he has.
And for some reason, the way that Greg Roman talked about him this week made me think that there's, not a pressure to get him more involved, but they realize that maybe he hasn't had the numbers he could have so far, and that could be potentially changing soon. And I think the one thing he does bring to the table, Quentin Johnston's the best yak guy because of his physicality, but Ladd's speed, man, we saw it a few games last year, including the playoff game, including the Saints. If he finds that crease and gets out in the open field, he's a master navigator that can take it the distance any point. So let's get to this next one here from Durd the Nerd, who says 3 sacks, 2 interceptions. Jacxson Dart is confused and abused. I mean, David, I think, not that this isn't bold, but this one feels very doable. Like if the Chargers can do what they plan on doing on Sunday, like there is a chance you could make Jacxson Dart unravel, pick him off a couple times, and find the separation there.
Oh yeah, I mean the thing is the game script, it's going to end. the plays that they have specifically set up, and and the plays he's most comfortable with, that's going to end, and then they're going to have to actually play and have to adjust and compensate for what the Chargers defense is going to do, and I just don't think they have the answers to be able to do it. And so I feel like this absolutely could be a Nathan Peterman-esque type game against Jacxson Dart. I just think it's almost malpractice a little bit to try to send a rookie to go up against this Chargers defense. It just doesn't seem fair, and I think we're all going to see why on Sunday.
That just feels like the most likely outcome. Like, hey, Jacxson Dart could be better than everyone expected him to be. He could come out there and absolutely light it up.
I'll tip my cap if that happens.
But like, I'm just going like, it's not even a disrespect thing to Jacxson Dart. It's just like, I'm always going to put my eggs in the Jesse Minter basket. And I think that's a very doable, bold prediction. Let's get to this one here from Kevin McNeil from Instagram, who says, Oronde Gadsden, 2 touchdowns, 86 receiving yards. David, I'd love to see them keep it going with Oronde. Another week, Will Dissly will likely earn Justin Herbert's trust last week. Hopefully he can build on it again.
Yeah, there's no question he's going to be out there. I think, what he was able to do in his debut was very powerful. And obviously that gets echoed by what Coach Harbaugh said about him. He said he has a feeling he's going to be used quite a bit more often. And that's definitely not a surprise to me. Also, the Chargers have to get better at scoring touchdowns in the red zone. It is something that we've seen as looks like a little bit of a chronic problem to start the season. Oronde Gadsden II, with his ability to get open, those strong hands, I like it, and I would love to see it in this game. He absolutely has the makeup to be a red zone weapon.
Absolutely. I mean, he made a couple tight, contested catches last week. You don't have big windows down there. He doesn't need one, which I think is nice. And the great thing is he has a quarterback that could fit, I think a strawberry through a battleship, as Wink Martindale once said. What will the captain, Justin Herbert, do in this game? Athir thinks he's going for a big one.
Daniel, David, a field goal prediction for Sunday. Stars show up in the Big Apple. I'm going Justin Herbert. 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. Chargers win 34-10. Favorite MVP on Monday morning. 4-0. Let's go, baby. Thank you.
I could maybe say 400 total yards. It'd still have to be a big game, but I think obviously the weak point for the Giants defense has been the running game. Not that they've been exceptional against the pass either, but that's the obvious chink in the armor. But man, maybe too often in this bold prediction segment, we forget that they have a dude who can go out and do this on any given week. I don't know if he necessarily hits those thresholds, but I wouldn't be surprised if that guy Justin Herbert, who's been pretty good this season, comes out and has a huge game against a team, that he played last time, maybe had his most famous throw, the Jalen Guyton bomb. I think his most air yards that he's ever had on a throw, and went 275 with 3 touchdowns and a passer rating of 133.1 the last time these two teams matched up.
Pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I think just because of the game plan, I don't think we're going to get to 400 passing yards. I just think they're going to run the ball a little bit more than that. Also, I feel like if things go how I expect them to go, they're going to get up and then they're going to run it, and they're going to try to close this thing out with the running game. I just think there's going to come a point where if they get up two scores, 3 scores, it's going to be the, run out the clock show to be able to get this thing done and get back on that plane and go back to the West Coast. I just think that's not going to be the game plan against this specific opponent.
Yeah, you never know. Greg Roman can try to run up the score, but I do think you're right as far as I trust Jesse Minter's defense enough to not think that the Chargers are going to have to be in a kind of keep up with the Giants type of game, and that's what it would feel like it would take to get Justin Herbert, over 400 yards. Last week, where just they threw it 47 times. He just had to kind of be everything for a big portion of that. But let's get into our bold predictions from us. David, who are you going with this week?
The guy who's been just this close to being able to get on that sack sheet. And of course, I'm talking about the guy who has the most pressures on the Chargers team, Tuli Tuipulotu. I think it is finally his breakout game. He is going to get at least 2 sacks in this football game. I see it. I manifesting it for him. And also, Jesse Minter had some great things to say about him. He said, I really, truly believe that in the last 2 games, he was one of the most dominant players on the field. He's doing everything he needs to do. I'm confident that the splash plays he's looking for will come. And if Jesse Minter's confident in it, I'm definitely confident in it.
Absolutely, man. And I think that, the sacks will come. Justin Minter even kind of alluded to, hey, maybe if we had more on the other side, it'd be a little bit easier for him, because there's kind of a place for quarterbacks to go when they need to right now. But yeah, man, I mean, 6 back-to-back 6 pressure games for Tuli, 4 pressures in every game. There's not many edge rushers in the league that have done that. So great in run defense. Don't let the lack of sacks, bother you or concern you. Tuli really has kind of taken that step. He's been really, really good this year, especially as a pass rusher, especially just causing chaos in that backfield, which Chargers have done a great job of, even without any elite kind of rushers out there so far this year, with Khalil Mack out especially. But my bold prediction this week is going to be centered around the guy who's on the thumbnail today, Omarion Hampton. It is the Omarion Hampton show, and I think you just saw something last week that the offense can be a little bit more facilitated through him, and I just think the efficiency is going to be much better than the 3.7 yards per carry that he had last week. I have Omarion Hampton, like many, I know Jose Alto had one that was very similar to this. We had a lot of people predicting Omarion Hampton. I'm right there with you. 100-plus rushing yards in this one and 2 touchdowns. Could push 150 total yards if they continue to use him in the passing game, like we saw a little bit last week. It'll be interesting. Obviously, neither the Broncos nor the Giants need to rush more than 4 to get pressure. The Giants do not blitz a ton, so it'll be interesting to see if those opportunities are still there as far as just quick checkdowns to the running back, getting them in bad situations as far as that goes from a numbers standpoint. But it's time to put our money where our mouths are, David. It has the feel of a trap game. We've talked about it a little bit so far this week. You go get Jim Harbaugh so that you don't, trip up against the likes of the Las Vegas Raiders, so you don't trip up against an 0-3 Giants team. I don't think this is a Giants team that should be taken lightly. I mean, they've played 3 really good quarterbacks so far, right? They haven't got any break as far as that goes. But and it's also a defense that stymied the Chiefs last week, right? That was a really ugly game by that Chiefs offense to somehow put up 22 points. Probably should have been more than that. And, the Giants offense didn't do them any favors either. But I think it's a team that's fighting for something, a team that, 0-3, they're either going to kind of lay down, I think, a little bit, or, they're going to be fighting, trying to get that first W in front of their home crowd. Do you think the Chargers rip that away from them and get to 4-0 on the season?
Hey, just like the guy in Happy Gilmore, Ben Stiller said, you will go to sleep or I will put you to sleep. And I think in this game, the Chargers are going to put them to sleep. I think they are going to frustrate Jacxson Dart. I think they are going to batter him. They are going to pick him off. They're going to make life a living hell for him in this game. And offensively, they don't have the horses to be able to stop the Chargers' rushing game. And I think Justin Herbert's going to be able to pick his shots and be able to do what he does, which is make legendary throws every time he steps foot on the football field. I said 28-17 on the crossover. I'm actually going to increase that. I think we're going to go to 35-17. I think the Chargers are going to win this one handily and improve to 4-0.
Yeah, it's interesting that you think, the Giants are going to score 17. I think that, that's not a big number by any means, but it'll be interesting. I kind of agree
maybe
with
too
that.
much credit. Yeah.
The thing is, so far this year, nobody's had a hot start against the Chargers, and it does feel like that can change maybe a little bit. I could see, a scripted drive, kind of like we saw in that preseason game. Obviously, you're running real basic stuff in that game, which was part of the problem. But nobody's had, he's had a good game plan against everybody. He's also had tape on everybody. I could see a scripted drive going well for the Giants early, and then having the Chargers kind of settle in and make life really tough. Now, I do think that the offense could have some sluggish moments. It is a bad front. The Chargers' offensive line is really, really banged up. So, I don't know if they're putting up 35 in this game, but I hope they do. I hope they can get in that separation. I hope they can put them away. I think the Giants hang in a little bit. I still have the Chargers winning 27-13. It is a team that has stymied some offenses outside of the Cowboys where they got shredded. But like I said, 3 good quarterbacks they played already, and it doesn't feel like the Chargers' offense really has yet to click on all cylinders. So we'll see if they can get it going. East Coast road trip, really early game. It's going to be a tough one. But that's going to wrap things up for today's show. Make sure you're back here with us on Sunday. I will be on the Postcast Squad show, and then me and David will probably be doing a earlier, maybe 4:30 Pacific time live show ourselves after the game on Sunday, hopefully talking about a 4-0 Chargers team. But to make sure you don't miss it, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from, as well as finding the show every day on all of our social media at Locked On LAC on Twitter, at Locked On Chargers on Instagram, and our Locked On Chargers Facebook page, where you can also post your bold predictions, your buy or sells, or what have you. If you want to call to the voicemail line, you can do that 323-524-7924 and get your 30-second Chargers voicemail in. But take care of business. Don't fall into the trap game. Get to 4-0, and then we'll be cooking. But we'll be back with you guys on Sunday. Until then, take it easy and go Bolts.